We are going to be setting up here in a few more minutes, so if you guys are now just popping in, please be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and hang tight. We will be live with you guys here momentarily. Please stand by.
being here with you today. I was just at this educational workshop in Atlanta this past weekend on what's called chiropractic biophysics. It is an amazing technique that's designed to change structure. If you aren't aware of this and you let the spine get compressed and twisted up, time is not your friend. I just want you to understand, it's not the aging process that we're concerned about. It's the time that's present with the stress on your joints. So what happens with the joint, a bone is basically shaped like, here's two bones. This is a big model of a spine. Where do you want me to be?
Right over here.
Over here?
Yep, the light is glaring.
Better light? Okay, how's that?
Very good, very good.
Okay, so this is a big model of the spine. This would be the disc in the front. You have these annular rings that surround the nucleus filled with fluid. It's called the nucleus. It's gelatinous material. It's very hydrophilic. In other words, water loves it, and it loves to fill up with fluid to make it bouncy. And around the annulus or around the nucleus are these things called an annulus. It reminds me of the rings of a tree. So a healthy disc, when you put pressure down, it retains the nucleus in its natural position and acts like a perfect little shock absorber. And it just goes right along. And the spinal cord is in the back, and the body of the vertebra is in the front, and there's a posterior arch that surrounds the spinal cord with a ring of bone, and then the bones interconnect in the back. You actually have 24 of these bones stacked from the base of your skull down to your tailbone. The little bumpy parts that you feel on the back of your spine is called the spinous process. The side little pieces sticking out are called the transverse process. Those are attachments for the muscles. So when you move, all of these muscles will either bend or flex or extend or flex forward, and it basically allows the dynamics of movement. You've seen these little young athletic gymnasts do back bends and just about touch their head on their tail, and it's amazing if you're prepared and you're ready and your body is used to doing that kind of thing. It's amazing the resiliency and the flexibility that you have. However, we see people every day in my office who are not flexible, that have lost that resiliency, have, for whatever reason, have had old injuries and traumas and stresses and bad posture for long periods of time. And what happens is it creates distortion. So the vertebra kind of shift to one side or the other, and then what happens is when you start pressing down on the disc, what happens is you'll see how that little red thing sticks out? Okay, that's like a ruptured or herniated disc. Now, I had a young lady that came in this week. Well, she's been coming in, but she was in this week, brought an MRI in. I sat down, I looked at it with her, and I showed her where the jelly had bubbled back out into the central canal, and she had pain and weakness in her legs to the point where she tripped and fell twice this past weekend and ended up in the emergency room again. And it was already from this accident she had. She had a bad concussion in the original accident, so she's got a lot of complications and what we call comorbidity. So she's not a good candidate for a fast recovery. It's going to take a little bit of time. But because of the MRI that we found, the herniated disc, with the fresh jelly just got squirted out into that bubble, just like I showed you here. It kind of bubbles out like that. Hers went straight out into the nerve canal and started pushing back against the covering of the spinal cord, which is called the thecal sac. And I felt it best to go ahead and refer her to her primary care doctor, because she's got the kind of insurance that requires a medical referral to get to a neurosurgeon and let their insurance pay. But unfortunately, because she was in a car accident, there's a lot of doctors that won't see you. They don't want any part of any kind of third party, whatever. I don't know, I guess they just don't like to be scrutinized. I can't tell you the reason. Everybody's got their own opinion of what they want to do and how they want to practice. It's just not all doctors will see you. None of the orthopedics in town. She really needs to see a neurosurgeon. Now, I can send her to a neurosurgeon directly, but Medicaid won't cover it, because Medicaid is not recognizing chiropractic in the state of Alabama. It's like sad, but it's just the reality. chiropractors haven't pushed for Medicaid to recognize chiropractic. Now, some states it pays quite well, but that group of people had pushed politically to be inclusive into that system. I think it would be helpful for Medicaid patients to have access because they're some of the higher likelihood of individuals that end up on opioid addictions and dying. You work with a ambulance service, you probably get calls all the time for people going because they tapped out. You know, they quit breathing. And when you can't get your opioids and the doctor cuts you off, the next thing that comes close to that is heroin. And so now you have all these heroin overdoses and deaths that come because it stops the breathing mechanism. It's just a sad, vicious circle that occurs as a result of, in my opinion, poor diagnosis. The doctors end up treating the pain and not the problem. It's easier to try to pop a pill than it is to fix a problem. And a lot of people don't really understand how to accurately diagnose the problem. So I really wanted to talk a little bit about that today and talk about this CBP concept of structural changes, because we're fixing spines. I mean, we're changing stuff. I had a little girl that came in a while back that 3 years old, from the time she was born, she had spontaneous lung collapses. And, you know, Children's Hospital, specialists in pulmonary, pediatric pulmonary specialists, and nobody can put their finger on why this little girl keeps having these lung collapses. Well, mom came in and brought the baby. I checked her and I said, I think I can help her. And I saw the problem and I knew what we needed to do to help the problem get better. And that was in August, and now here it is in November. And as of right now, she's not had another lung collapse, which is, you know, because she was having them multiple times a month, sometimes just collapse after collapse. And actually, from the time that we started working with her, she started getting better almost right away. I think it was in, I want to say September, she ended up getting a COVID. The little 3-year-old ended up with COVID. Normally, that type of problem, she's diagnosed with being asthma, immune compromised, all these different things. They're throwing all these different drugs at the little rascal. And normally, when you get something like that, with her condition, you would end up in the ICU. However, she didn't even have to go in the hospital. They treated her at home. I believe it was because her immune system became improved. And I want to explain to you a couple things. Now, this past weekend, I understand better now, today, the research of why we were able to help this little girl. And so hopefully I'm going to start doing something to publish the clinical study, because there's very, very little reference research about this particular problem. She has a structural problem where she had lost the curve. So I want you to think about this. As I lose the curve in my neck, do you see how that kind of collapses my chest? Her space here has narrow, or was narrow. And her, compared to the width of the chest from here to here, there's a ratio. And if you fall under a certain percentage, if you fall under like 45, that's kind of like the cutoff, and she did. She was down in 43, 42 when she first came in on her original x-rays. I just went back and measured it. When she first came, I didn't know this information. I just learned this stuff this past weekend. So I mean, here I've been in practice almost 39 years. You would think I'd, you know, have learned enough. But to be honest with you, oh man, I'm telling you, it's amazing the tools and the techniques and the research that just validates the things that we look at. What we found, the original first published research on is called a flat back syndrome. Dr. Lett used to, you know, I started back in chiropractic 1984. 1985, I bought Dr. James Lett's chiropractic practice. He used to talk about flat backs. He called it a poker spine. You know, he recognized it back in the early 80s. And I mean, well, he'd been in practice probably 30 years before I was there. He probably recognized it from the time he got out of school. You see people with a flat spine with no curves. It's an unstable structure. But what they found is that if you have a ratio that's not over 45%, then you're more likely, and I'll read it to you, you're more likely to have, I'm going to go over mitral valve prolapse, exertional dyspnea, which is sports-related asthma, lung collapses, and of course the mitral valve prolapse. And the first research article that they found published was back in 1980, and actually might have been one even before then. We go back and look. Yeah, 1961, published in the journal Chest, which is a official publication of the American College of Chest Physicians. It was reported back then about this straight spine syndrome and the connection between lung collapses and stuff, but there's not a lot of published research on it. So I was really excited to learn. I mean, I knew this little girl was better, but now I went back and remeasured. We just got some new x-rays. She went from under 40, low 40% to 53% in a period of about 20 visits over about a 4-month time frame, and had taken about a month off, you know, getting better from COVID. So really it's about 3 months of care essentially, and that's pretty amazing. And you can look at her and see the difference in the chest. And what we've been focusing on is chiropractic care and something called chiropractic biophysics. We've been using this little extension traction thing, the thing I put you on tonight, to open her up, and that's increased the size of her chest. So I'm really excited about some of these. Well, really, all of this stuff that we're doing is amazing to me. How much validated research there is. They found that people with bad thoracic spine. You ever seen? Well, you know, you get people with a bowed spine. There's a definite correlation between that and decreased circulation to the brain. That and compromise to the breathing and heart rate. They coordinated that with research that's definitely related to the likelihood of developing hiatal hernias and gastric reflux. There's another one that a study that shows a correlation between that and bladder and uterine prolapse, which, you know, is the surgery on them when it gets that bad. Now, there are things that you can do to try to head it off, but wouldn't it be great if you could actually help change the contour of the spine and, you know, reduce the likelihood of developing the problem in the first place? So we're really getting heavier into prevention management concepts and changing structure to change lifestyle and to look at a better future. That's a phenomenal thing. Now take this little 3-year-old who was having these spontaneous lung collapses that no doctor at Children's Hospital or anybody could figure out why she's having them, and they're putting her on all these steroids and medicines and saying she's immune compromised, but the medicines they're putting her on is actually making her immune compromised. So it's kind of like, you know, the cat's pulling the tail. You know, it's like, what's going on? You know, it's like it's just sad because her life could have been horribly gone in a different direction. She's such a vibrantly alive, energetic little rascal, just loves, you know, people. And her brother came in with her, and he was hiding from her, and she came out here, and, where are you? Where are you? And she found him, she goes, oh, there you are. And she just ran up to him and gave him a big old hug. I mean, she just, you know, she's a sweetheart. And, you know, we love all of our patients, as you know, but, you know, when you have somebody like that, they just touch your heart. When you know you've done something to change the future of a baby like that, it's amazing. I love what I do. I am very passionate. I can't ever see myself really being interested in retiring. I'm excited about the fact that some of my kids are thinking about chiropractic. My youngest son is probably going to start working with us coming up maybe next week. And he'll start doing some online classes, college classes towards a degree in biology before he goes on to chiropractic college. He'll start that in January. So, you know, but I'm really, I can't tell you how excited I am about doing what I do. I don't look at it as a job. I look at it as a passion being fulfilled, a purpose and a destiny that I have, where God spoke to me definitive words and said, prepare the way. And I've taken that to mean to me that I'm supposed to help you understand and help you get to where you're supposed to be, healthier, with more vitality, so that you can carry out your purpose. And that's the same thing with you. If you're tuning in with us, our goal is to help you obtain what you're looking for from a health standpoint to make you healthier. I know very well that if you're not feeling good, if you've got migraines, if you've got sciatica or back pain, or you can't breathe very well, or you got all kinds of digestive problems or emotional instabilities, you're not going to feel like getting out and going and doing your mission is on this earth. You just don't have the energy. And I really feel the devil would like nothing more than to push your buttons or stop you from getting to where you're supposed to be, to shut you down, to steal your breath, to take away your interest in being able to fulfill your purpose, your God-given purpose on this earth. I know God has a plan for you. I know that as a result of that, you're supposed to be accomplishing certain things. And I'm just glad that I understand what mine is and I get to participate in the process. I can't think of anything I would love. Now, I spent all weekend in Atlanta learning stuff about measures and angulations and different things and techniques and protocol and procedures and methodology about this thoracic spine. It's amazing how the thoracic spine modulates both the lower back and the neck contours as well. So you have to understand what we're trying to accomplish to be able to change the structure. So I'm in the process of learning about that. It's a passion of mine to be able to figure out how to help people better, more effectively, quicker, and have more lasting results. And then keep you healthy for a lifetime is a critical component of what we want to do with all of our patients. So, and there's so many new things that we do. If you've ever seen me in the past, if it's been more than a year ago, you won't believe the things that we're doing now compared to a year ago. My practice is constantly improving, and we're pushing the envelope to get better all the time. So my encouragement would be, if you've ever seen me in the past, I still have the same love and passion that I've had for chiropractic from the time that I graduated. It's just I have better techniques and skills set to be able to change structure. And I'm like, when people have car accidents, I'm the one that's teaching attorneys how to process the case so they understand it better. We do that nationally. I did one last month, and I got another one coming up in January. We'll have a couple of hundred attorneys from around the country that'll tune in on a Zoom call for me to teach. And there's another buddy of mine up in Huntsville. We're going to be co-op teaching this one, I hope. But it's really good. So if I get an attorney that calls, I'm just like, look, this is it, and here's what they need, and I know for certain this is it. And I can tell them with all confidence, this is the problem, and this is what we need to do about it. So I've become a spine care specialist, and I'm a specialist in spine trauma and rehabilitation. So, I hate to say this, but I'm really good at what I do. I've got more credentials than anybody probably. About a month ago, I was recognized in a national Zoom online conference. They stopped the class and they said, we want to recognize a few people. And I was one of the people that they called out to recognize because of the accomplishments and the credentialing and the things that I've been able to do and study. So, that kind of puts me in the top 1% of chiropractors in the country. And so it's like right here in Calhoun County, you can get the best of the best. And that, I spent a lot of time to learn how to be that person. So I'm not trying to brag about it. I'm just telling you straight up. It's the truth. I love what I do. I love helping people, and I'm interested in being able to reach out and help as many people as we can. We get a lot of kids that come in now, more than we've seen in a while, but I love helping children. That was my first credential. I used to work with a guy named Larry Webster who started the Chiropractic Pediatric Association, and he was my clinic doctor, and I was his #1 clinic. Was called a senior clinic intern. I was the one that supervised the other students while we were going through clinic and school. And I had a lot of one-on-one time with the master of chiropractic pediatrics. So, I feel really good about taking care of babies to really any people of any kind of age with any kind of spine problem. So I want to just tell you, I appreciate you coming. My passion is to help you reach what you want to do so that we can together hold out hope to people in this community that there may be something that could be done for them too. So that's what I want to do. That's how I'm going to try to change this community's health is to help the people that are in front of me here in my office and focus on meeting your goals and your needs and hopefully getting you engaged and being willing to share the hope that you've now and the joy that you get, you know, is able to be transferred out to share hope with somebody else. So we pretty much ended the talk. We've had about a 20-minute time frame, but I've finished everything that I was going to talk about. If you have questions, you know, hold them for me. I want to end on time. And if you all out there in Facebook land or wherever, YouTube videos or whatever, if you have a question or a topic that you want me to cover in a future workshop, just send us an email, like, share, and, you know, comment below, and we'll go ahead and gather that information and create customized educational workshops for you. I want to invite you to come and participate live with us here in the office. I get more feedback with more people, and it gives me, I get super stoked and hyped up, and it really seems to flow well. Had a good day today, and you know, so I feel, I mean, 1, 10, 15, 100, 200, 500, 1,000. It doesn't matter how many people we talk to. I'm passionate about helping people. So this is Dr. David Wade. I'm wishing you good health for a lifetime. You good?
Awesome.